When people are moving to Minnesota, they always ask about Mendota Heights, probably because it's got an A+ rating on niche.com, or the fact that they've also rated it as the #2 place for retirees in all of Minnesota. After living in the Twin Cities for almost 20 years, today I'm going to be pulling back the curtain on Mendota Heights to answer one big question. Is it really as great as people say it is? It sits on just 9 square miles south of St. Paul, and it's going to be on some of the best located land in Minnesota if you're an urban dweller. This community sits right between the Mississippi and Minnesota rivers, so this is going to create an amazing hill and valley type of an environment, which you're not going to find in a lot of other parts of our metro. Those river bluffs and valleys aren't just pretty to look at, they also shape how neighborhoods grew and where the best views ended up. As a first-ring suburb, you're going to get quick access to Minneapolis and especially St. Paul without feeling like you're in the middle of absolutely everything. So that's going to be the sweet spot as far as location goes, which can be hard to find. The city itself became official in 1974, which does make it a pretty young suburb, which is kind of surprising for its location, but the area's history goes way back. Before it became the suburb we know today, it was actually previously dairy farms and some farmlands. So if you can imagine where there's currently high-value homes sitting now, there used to be cows grazing only 50 years ago. But the landscape is only part of the picture, so just wait until you see these hills and rivers and how they've shaped our local lifestyle. Now, something that makes Mendota Heights stand out is Ohiwahi, and I guarantee you I completely butchered that, so I do apologize, but the locals are going to know this as Pilot Knob. This is a 112-acre sacred Dakota site that sits on National Register of Historic Places. So it's going to be an area with a very rich history, which you should definitely check out. But location is just the start, so let's look at the neighborhoods that make up this community. With only a limited number of homes for sale across the 8 different neighborhoods, each area really is going to tell its own story. And let me tell you, in this market, that small number of homes creates some interesting situations. Here's a breakdown of some of those areas. Starting with Somerset Hills, this is where you're going to find those golf course homes near the Mendota and Somerset country clubs. We're talking 5+ bedrooms estates, usually priced around $1 to $1.15 million. These are going to have spectacular golf course views and of course will be a little bit pricier. However, there are homes just a few blocks over, which would save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Plus, you're going to still enjoy that Somerset Hills address. Then there's Ivy Hills, which has this great mid-century feel to it. Many homes here are still going to have their original architectural charm and details, so if you like a classic Rambler style home with big old trees, this is going to be your spot. These homes have a character that you really just don't find in many new construction home developments, like original hardwood floors built in storage, and those little details that make these homes so special. Minneapolis Estates is where you're going to find the newest homes for this area, and these are going to be mostly built after 2000. What's wild is that the homes here sell in about 17 days on average for this specific neighborhood. That's just 17 days, and in a market where buyers usually have a little bit more time to think things over, Mendota Estates is going to move very quickly. That tells you something about how much people want to live in this area. Now, the inventory is currently tight for the city, and that's going to play a big role in how the housing market shapes up, and we're going to get into that a little bit more later. But before that, if you're enjoying this deep dive, I would love to have you part of our little community, so make sure you hit that subscribe, because I know about every little corner of this metro, and I share it all on this channel, plus important real estate market updates pretty much every single week, which you don't want to miss. Now let's talk about getting around, because location without good roads means nothing. Imagine being just 5 to 10 minutes from MSP Airport and having about a 20-minute average drive to work. That's the reality for Mendota Heights, and it changes everything about your daily life. The highway access here is fantastic. So you're going to have I-35E, you've got 494, you've got 55 and 62, all within easy reach. What this means for you is that you can head in pretty much any direction without fighting too much traffic, and of course there are also local streets to bypass some of those highways. But here's what matters a lot for my local clients, that airport closeness. So being just 5 to 10 minutes from MSP Airport is going to be a game changer if you travel a lot for work. So if you think about it, you can literally leave your house just about an hour and a half or so before your flight. You can get there, get through security, and you've probably still got time to grab a coffee before you board. Not something that you can do from a lot of Twin Cities suburbs. Public transit does serve this area too, with the Metro Transit bus route, which is going to be connecting you to their broader network. DARTs also help seniors who can no longer drive. You've got Metro Mobility, which supports residents with disabilities, keeping them connected. And of course, you can just grab an Uber, but it's going to be able to get you to the airport without maxing out your credit card. So while most folks here do enjoy driving, having extra options like this can be fantastic. And if you like it's not all of that convenience, wait until you see what's coming up with some different expansion projects which are happening all around this area, and I'll talk more about that one in just a sec. Here's what I love showing families who are new to Minnesota. We take our outdoor spaces seriously, and Mendota Heights definitely proves it. First off, we're talking 17 parks and 295 acres of green spaces. Now, where those numbers might not sound too impressive compared to other suburbs that I've covered, let's not forget that this is only a 9 square mile city. And we're not talking about sad little patches of grass and maybe a swing set. We are talking about some real parks with trails, with picnic areas, with playgrounds, and with natural spaces. And with our 4 seasons, summer's gonna bring beautiful greenery, then you got fall with stunning colors, winter turns into cross-country ski trails, and spring is probably my favorite in Minnesota, which has pretty much everything. The River to River Greenway spans 7.7 miles, connecting trails for biking, walking, and skiing, and these are gonna be a great way to just get around for people who prefer 2 wheels or 2 feet instead of driving a car. For my golf fans, listen up because you've got 3 different golf courses here, 1 of which is public, 2 of which are gonna be private, and then there's Fort Snelling State Park nearby in Hennepin County. This is where the rivers meet and the history lives, with 3,000 acres of parkland, which is going to be accessible to you from that Mendota Bridge. So you can hike, bike, canoe, or just relax by the rivers. This all sounds like a dream for my active families, but wait until you see some of the new trail expansions that are going to be in the works. And before that, we've got to talk about the schools. So another interesting fact is going to be that School District 197, which is Mendota Heights' public school district, currently has a solid A- rating on niche.com, showing that they really focus on both community and academics. And these good ratings matter whether you have little kids or not, because frankly, good schools will always support strong home values. Now, I know you're wanting to know more about home prices, which we will cover in just 1 second, but first let's talk about some of the other costs of living in Mendota Heights. So let's talk about the property taxes for Mendota Heights. Their rate sits right around 1.07% compared to the Minnesota's median, which is about 1.11. So it is slightly less expensive compared to our metro overall, and on the median price point of home, that's going to save you about $200 per year. Also, many questions about HOAs, and here's going to be another good surprise for you. Most of Mendota Heights does not have an HOA, so you're going to have less rules and less restrictions and more freedom without anyone telling you what to do as far as gardening or fences or painting your house. Properties here have gone up in value, an average of 6.71% averaged over the last 5 years. Now, compare that to the Twin Cities, which has gone up about 6.97 during that same period of time. So it's actually going to be a pretty similar amount of growth that's been seen, and actually slightly less, which is going to tell you it's a little bit less volatile, and there's going to be less spikes and falls, as you can see in communities which have a lot of new construction. But frankly, numbers don't build communities, the people do. So one more thing that really surprises folks moving here is going to be that really Minnesotans show up for their communities, and Mendota Heights is going to be a great example of that. Residents here actively take part in shaping their neighborhoods. You've got the 2040 Parks Project, for example, where the city put together all kinds of different meetings and surveys and polls where local residents could pitch their input for what this master plan was going to be looking like. The Planning Commission ensures that there's thoughtful growth that keeps the area's character while building everything that residents are hoping to see over the next 10 to 20 years. And wait till you hear about the recent future developments that are coming up. I will mention a few of those in a moment here, but I'd love to know your comments. What do you think the city needs, or what do you think it has that you absolutely love as far as development goes? So educational success here is going to stand out too. Numbers from 2023 show that 98.2% of adults 25 and older here have a high school diploma, and even more impressive is the 68% that have college degrees as well. So this is going to be a community that values success and is generally highly educated. Okay, now like I promised, let's talk about the real estate market and what's going on in Mendota Heights. Now, you remember when we talked about the different neighborhood price points earlier and then the different fees. So, well, the homes in this area are going to average right around about the same time on market. However, the price point is going to be a touch higher. So the median home value for Mendota Heights is currently about $532,500. That's going to be well above the Twin Cities median price point of $385,000. But if I can be honest, let's face it, the highest demand areas simply are never going to be the cheapest. It's the price of a top location, excellent amenities, community stability, great schools, and what some might call expensive, frankly, I'm going to call it great value for what you're getting. Another important number for this area is going to be that around 80% of housing is currently owner occupied. So that's going to be from recent census data, and it means that people are typically buying their homes here. There's going to be a little bit fewer rentals, Overall, that's going to create a little bit more stability for you without neighbors that are currently moving in and out and that really have a sense of ownership for where they live. If you're looking for a larger family home in this area, 5+ bedroom homes are currently priced around $850,000. So that's going to be some pretty serious growth for the larger family home type of group. These larger homes are attracting executives and growing families who need that space and can afford a little bit more premium of a price. While this segment is moving up fast, it will also help pull up the other segments of this market, again keeping those home values very strong. As of today, there are just 41 homes across the entire city that are currently for sale. It's a city with 11,000 people too, so that's going to be a very tight market. The small number of homes for sale does drive up those prices, but like I mentioned before, we've increased in sales prices in Mendota Heights, just about on track with the rest of the Twin Cities. And this isn't happening in a vacuum. There are some very smart new projects that are underway to keep up with that steady demand. So before I answer that big question for you, let's talk about how Mendota Heights is changing. The projects here reflect a community that cares about its future and honors its character. Starting with the villages at Mendota Heights, this is a mixed-use center at Highway 62 and Dodd Road, which is bringing 135 living units alongside retail and office spaces. Now this isn't just another strip mall and that's it. We're talking about creating a whole walkable community hub where residents can live, work, and shop without driving too much. The city approved high-density residential zoning for this one, taking it from 6 to 9 units per acre. That's going to allow more units into, frankly, a more landlocked area so that we can provide more affordable housing options. White Pine Senior Living is also adding 50 units to their complex to serve aging residents. This matters because it allows longtime residents to stay in the community as their needs change. So seniors don't have to move out when their housing feels too big. They can downsize and they can stay near their doctors, friends, and their favorite spots. Then over at Home Apartments, they've just completed a 139 unit project in 2025, adding modern living options to the mix. These are actually part of creating diverse housing option choices that will attract people at different stages of life, from young professionals, empty nesters, and everyone in between that can find something to fit. But here's my favorite new project coming up, and that's going to be that River to River Greenway expansion, which is scheduled for this and next year. This upgrade is going to link more neighborhoods into the trail system, and now car-free travel is becoming easier than ever with this project. When communities invest in trails and green infrastructure, they're really investing into the quality of life for decades to come. As you can see, these developments show Mendota Heights isn't just resting on its past reputation. The community is actively planning for the future while preserving what works. That's kind of thinking that protect property values and lifestyle quality long term. So that's what's going on in Mendota Heights. Thank you so much for watching. My name's Joe Carmick. If we haven't met, I work with all kinds of buyers and sellers all around the Twin Cities, relocating, and locals as well. So if you have any real estate needs coming up, you know where to find me. Just get my information out of the description down below, and we will talk very soon.